My beloved child, this moment did not begin when you pressed play. It began long before your eyes ever found this message. Long before your thoughts felt restless. Long before the quiet stirring in your spirit started asking questions you could not explain. What you are hearing now is not an invitation. It is a confirmation. A knock has already been approved. Not requested. Not debated. Approved. In the unseen realm, permission has already been granted, signatures already sealed, timing already locked. Heaven has moved, and the echo of that movement is what led you here. You may feel a strange weight in your chest as these words unfold, because something deep within you recognizes this truth. This is not curiosity pulling you forward. This is recognition, the kind that makes your breath slow down and your heart listen more closely, the kind that feels like memory rather than information. Archangel Michael stands as witness to this moment, not as a distant symbol, but as a confirmer of divine order. When he confirms something, it means opposition has been silenced, interference has been restrained, and delay has reached its end. This knock is not symbolic only. It is precise, it is intentional, and it is personal. Someone is being dispatched toward you carrying information that does not simply add to your life, but rearranges it. Information that clarifies years of confusion. Information that exposes why certain doors never opened, why certain paths collapsed just before you stepped fully into them, why silence followed prayers that felt urgent and unanswered. This message is not coming to harm you. It is coming to realign you. You were never overlooked. You were protected, and that protection required secrecy. There are seasons when heaven hides what it is preparing, not because it lacks power, but because premature revelation attracts unnecessary resistance. Archangel Michael is not assigned to trivial movements. He is assigned when something must arrive intact, when truth must reach its destination without distortion, when timing is the difference between confusion and clarity. You may have felt recently that something is shifting without evidence, a sense that a chapter is closing even though nothing has officially ended. That is because approval has already happened on a level you cannot see yet. When heaven approves a knock, it does not ask for consensus from circumstances. It does not wait for logic to agree. It moves because alignment hath been reached. And when alignment happens, motion follows. This is why distractions intensified before this moment. This is why doubt whispered louder than usual. This is why fatigue tried to convince you to disengage. None of that was accidental. When something carries the power to change everything, resistance does not announce itself loudly. It disguises itself as exhaustion, as procrastination, as normal life. But Archangel Michael's confirmation overrides all of it. What has been approved cannot be cancelled by confusion. Understand this clearly. The person being dispatched toward you may not look extraordinary. They may not arrive with dramatic signs or overwhelming displays. The power is not in their appearance. It is in what they carry. Truth often arrives quietly because it does not need permission to be loud. It only needs the right moment to be heard. And that moment is approaching faster than you realize. This information will not flatter you. It will free you. It will not simply comfort you. It will confront false narratives you have been carrying about yourself. Narratives formed by waiting too long, by being misunderstood, by being almost chosen but never quite selected. Those stories are about to be corrected. Archangel Michael does not confirm comfort, he confirms truth. And truth, when it arrives, reorganizes everything it touches. You were never meant to chase this knock. That is why every attempt to force clarity left you more confused. That is why answers slipped through your fingers just when you thought you had them. This moment required authorization beyond effort. It required divine approval, and that approval has already been released. What remains now is manifestation. If your spirit feels alert right now, it is because it recognizes the tone of this message. This is not warning without purpose. This is not urgency without direction. This is alignment announcing itself before arrival. The knock has been approved so that when it comes, you do not mistake it for coincidence. You do not dismiss it as ordinary. You do not delay response because you doubt its importance. Archangel Michael's presence here is not about fear. It is about protection of outcome. He confirms that what is approaching you carries no hidden agenda meant to harm, confuse, or diminish you. It carries clarity. It carries instruction. It carries release. And it arrives now because you are finally positioned to receive it without distortion. There are moments when heaven speaks softly, and moments when it speaks with authority. This is authority wrapped in calm, approval wrapped in patience, movement wrapped in stillness. Nothing about this is rushed, yet nothing about it can be stopped. You are not behind. You are not early. You are exactly where this message needed you to be when it found you. So let this settle, not in your mind, but in your spirit. The knock is not something you must chase or fear. It is something you must recognize. Because when it arrives, it will not ask if you are ready. It will reveal that you already are. My precious one, now you must understand why this movement is happening now, and not yesterday, not last year, not during the season when you begged for answers with tears in your eyes. The dispatch order was never delayed out of neglect. It was delayed out of precision. Heaven does not rush assignments that carry consequences. When someone is sent toward you with information that changes everything, timing becomes sacred. Archangel Michael is the keeper of the timing, the guardian of divine order, the one who ensures that what is released reaches you whole, uncontaminated, and exactly when your spirit can bear it. There were seasons when you were too wounded to hear truth without interpreting it as rejection. Seasons when clarity would have felt like loss instead of liberation. Seasons when you would have tried to use divine information to control outcomes rather than surrender to them. That is why silence surrounded you. Not because nothing was happening, but because too much was happening behind the veil. Preparation does not always feel productive. Sometimes it feels like stagnation. Sometimes it feels like being forgotten. But heaven was not idle. It was arranging alignment. A dispatch is not emotional. It is governmental. It happens when every variable aligns: your growth, your discernment, your endurance, and your willingness to listen without panic. Archangel Michael does not release movement based on desperation. He releases it based on readiness. And readiness is not about perfection. It is about stability. You are no longer asking from fear. You are no longer chasing answers to soothe anxiety. You are now positioned to receive truth without breaking under its weight. That is why recent days may have felt strangely quiet, even peaceful, yet heavy with anticipation. That feeling is not confusion. It is proximity. When something is approaching, the spirit often becomes still before the arrival. Noise fades. Distractions lose their grip. Old habits feel hollow. This is not boredom. This is focus farming before impact. You are standing at the edge of information that will require clarity, not chaos. The person being dispatched is moving under divine instruction, whether they are fully aware of it or not. Sometimes heaven uses conscious obedience. Sometimes it uses alignment without explanation. Either way, the message arrives. Archangel Michael ensures that no unnecessary voice reaches you before the right one. That is why certain connections dissolved. That is why conversations ended abruptly. That is why opportunities you once wanted no longer excite you. Space was being created. You may wonder why this information must come through another person and not directly. Understand this. Heaven often uses vessels to confirm what your spirit already knows but your mind has resisted. When truth arrives through another, it bypasses self-doubt. It interrupts internal arguments. It lands with authority. Archangel Michael's role is not to replace your intuition, but to reinforce it through confirmation. Two witnesses, internal and external, so you can no longer deny what is being revealed. If you look back honestly, you will see signs that this dispatch hath been forming for some time. Repeated thoughts, unexplained urgency to resolve unfinished matters, a pull toward clarity rather than comfort. These were not random emotions. They were internal adjustments preparing you to receive information without distortion. Heaven never sends revelation into chaos. It first creates order within. Now hear this gently but clearly. This message will require response. Not reaction, but response. Response requires presence. That is why you are being drawn deeper into awareness right now. Distraction is dangerous at moments of alignment. Not because something bad will happen, but because something significant could be missed. Archangel Michael confirms that this is not a season to move on autopilot. It is a season to listen between words, to observe patterns, to take moments seriously. If this message resonates with you, do not keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who has been feeling the same quiet tension, the same sense of something approach you without knowing what it is. Leave a comment, not for visibility, but as an act of acknowledgement. When you engage, you are not supporting a channel, you are agreeing with the moment. And if you feel called, subscribe and join this space, because these messages are not isolated. They are part of an unfolding sequence meant to prepare and protect you. This is also a moment to participate, not spectate. Alignment increases when intention is expressed. Your engagement is not about algorithms, it is about awareness. Heaven responds to attention, and attention sharpens discernment. What is being dispatched toward you does not come to overwhelm you. It comes to organize you. It will not demand blind faith. It will invite informed obedience. Archangel Michael confirms that once this information lands, confusion will no longer be an option. You may still have choices, but you will no longer have uncertainty about what is true. Take this seriously, but do not take it fearfully. Fear scatters focus. Calm gathers it. Let calm be your posture. Let awareness be your position. And as this movement draws closer, keep your spirit attentive. There is more unfolding here than meets the eye, and you will want to be fully present for the moment when everything begins to make sense. Beloved soul, now we come to the heart of what is being carried toward you. Not a rumor, not an opinion, not a suggestion, but information, precise, intentional, and timed, that has the authority to change everything you thought you understood about your journey. This is not knowledge meant to oppress you. This is truth meant to liberate you. And that is why it could not arrive sooner. Truth has weight, and weight requires strength to carry it without breaking. What is coming to you hath been sealed until now because earlier versions of you would have misunderstood it. You might have used it to retreat instead of rise, to defend instead of discern, to fear instead of align. Heaven does not release revelation into insecurity. Archangel Michael stands as the one who guards truth until the soul is stable enough to receive it cleanly. This is why the message waited. not because it was incomplete, but because you were still becoming. This information will answer questions you stopped asking out loud. It will explain patterns you blamed on chance. It will expose why certain people entered your life only to leave suddenly, why opportunities circled you but never landed, why you always felt close to breakthrough yet unable to touch it. What is coming does not merely explain the past, it reframes it. It takes what looked like failure and reveals it as filtration, what looked like rejection and reveals it as redirection. Do not expect this information to arrive dramatically. Expect it to arrive decisively. When truth arrives, it carries a calm authority. There is no panic in it. No confusion. No need to convince. It settles into you, and things begin to fall into place without force. Archangel Michael's sword is not about destruction here. It is about separation. Separation of what was never meant to stay from what has always been meant to remain. You may feel a mix of emotions when this message reaches you. Relief because finally something makes sense. Grief because you will realize how long you carried unnecessary burdens. Gratitude because protection followed you even when you doubted it. And strength because clarity produces courage. Do not resist these emotions. They are part of integration. When truth changes everything, it first rearranges the inside. Understand this carefully. The information being delivered will not demand immediate action, but it will demand honesty. You will see clearly where you compromised your intuition, where you settled out of exhaustion, where you waited for permission when alignment was already present. This is not condemnation. This is empowerment. Archangel Michael does not expose to shame. He exposes to strengthen. There is a reason this message comes through another person. When truth comes externally, it validates the internal whispers you tried to silence. It confirms that what you sensed was not imagination. That pull you felt, that resistance you couldn't explain, that discomfort in situations that looked perfect on the surface, it was discernment. And now discernment receives confirmation. This information will not isolate you, but it will differentiate you. You will no longer be able to blend into spaces that contradict your alignment. Certain conversations will feel shallow. Certain compromises will feel heavy. This is not arrogance. This is awareness. When truth enters, tolerance for misalignment decreases naturally. Archangel Michael confirms that this is not a loss. It is refinement. What changes everything is not that you learn something new. It is that you finally see what was always there. And once seen, it cannot be unseen. You will not be able to return to old narratives, old excuses, old delays. Clarity removes hiding places, but it also removes fear. When you know, you move differently. When you understand, you stand differently. Do not rush to explain this revelation to others. Some information is meant to anchor you before it is shared. Let it settle. Let it reorganize your priorities. Let it recalibrate your choices. Heaven is not in a hurry once truth has arrived. Alignment sustains itself without force. Archangel Michael confirms that this message carries protection with it. You are not being exposed. You are being positioned. Positioned to choose wisely. Positioned to step forward without hesitation. Positioned to release what no longer serves the version of you that is emerging now. If this resonates deeply, mark this moment. Type "I receive the truth" in the comments if this message is speaking to your spirit. Blessing code 777 had just been released. Now hear this as a continuation of what has just been revealed. When heaven releases truth, it also calls for partnership. This message is not meant to stop with you. It is meant to reach others who are still waiting in confusion, still praying for clarity, still standing at the edge of alignment without knowing why. I am speaking to you directly now. Your support becomes a seed that multiplies revelation. When you give through super thanks, membership, or PayPal, you are sowing light into places where truth has been delayed. Scripture declares that when seed meets good ground, harvest follows, and your obedience opens heavens over lives you may never meet. This is not adulation. It is a prophetic response. As you release, may clarity chase you, protection surround you, and alignment accelerate. Act now. So where truth is flowing, and watch heaven respond. My beloved one, there is a reason you could not force this knock. No matter how hard you tried, no matter how sincerely you prayed, planned, or prepared. Some doors are not opened by effort, and some revelations are not unlocked by persistence alone. They are governed by timing that sits higher than desire. What you experienced as delay was not resistance, it was restraint. And restraint, when guided by heaven, is protection wearing the disguise of silence. You attempted to move ahead because you felt the urgency long before you had the clarity. That urgency was real, but it was incomplete. Urgency without alignment creates anxiety. Alignment without urgency creates stagnation. Heaven waits until both meet. Archangel Michael oversees that meeting point. He does not respond to pressure. He responds to order. An order is established only when every internal and external condition can support what is being released. You tried to reason your way into answers. You tried to read signs prematurely. You tried to interpret half-formed impressions. But clarity resisted you. Not because you were unworthy, but because clarity would have collapsed under the weight of unresolved emotion. Some truths require peace to survive. They cannot land in a heart that is still negotiating with fear. That is why every attempt to force understanding left you more confused. It was not rejection. It was preservation. There were moments you thought, if I could just know, I would be fine. But knowledge without preparation could become burden instead of breakthrough. Heaven did not hand your tools to unsteady hands. Archangel Michael ensures that what is delivered strengthens rather than wounds. The knock had to wait until your grip matured. You also could not force this knock because it was never meant to be initiated by you. It was meant to meet you. There is a profound difference. When you chase revelation, you often chase control. When revelation meets you, it brings surrender. This information carries authority because it arrives without your manipulation. You did not arrange it. You did not orchestrate it. That is why it will carry peace. Think about how many times you almost settled for partial answers just to quiet the discomfort of waiting. How many times you considered paths that felt close enough. Those were moments where forcing would have led you into misalignment. Heaven blocked them quietly. Not dramatically. Quiet blocks are the most merciful kind. They protect without humiliating. They redirect without shaming. Archangel Michael's involvement confirms that this was not a personal struggle. It was a strategic one. When timing is crucial, heaven enforces delay. Not because it lacks power to accelerate, but because acceleration without readiness can destroy what is meant to be built. You were being fortified, not tested, strengthened, not judged. You may now see that every closed door saved you from information you would have misused. Every unanswered question kept you from conclusions that would have limited you. Every pause trained you to sit with uncertainty without collapsing. That is maturity. And maturity is what truth requires to take root. Forcing creates counterfeit clarity. It feels good briefly, then unravels. What is coming to you now will not unravel. It will settle. It will not create more questions. it will answer the ones that mattered most. That is how you will know it is from heaven. Archangel Michael confirms authenticity by outcome, not excitement. You are also learning discernment through absence. When guidance is not obvious, the soul learns to listen more carefully. You began to recognize what felt heavy versus what felt aligned. You started noticing when something drained you versus when something grounded you. These were not random lessons. They were internal calibrations preparing you to recognize the knock when it arrives. This is why you must release any regret about the waiting. Regret implies waste. There was no waste here. Everything was used. Every delay refined your perception. Every silence sharpened your hearing. Every unanswered prayer built endurance. You are not behind. You are not late. You are precisely where truth can meet you without distortion. Understand this. Heaven does not withhold clarity to punish. It withholds to preserve outcome. And now, preservation has done its work. The knock you could not force is now free to arrive because you no longer need to control it. You are ready to receive without gripping, to listen without defending, to respond without fear. Let this realization bring relief, not frustration. You were never failing. You were being positioned. And when the knock comes, you will not need to ask if it is real. You will recognize it by the peace it carries, the order it brings, and the quiet authority with which it settles into your life. Beloved, there is something deeper you must now understand about the resistance that surrounded this moment, because it was never meant to be obvious. If it had been loud, you would have recognized it immediately. If it had been aggressive, you would have guarded yourself more fiercely. But this resistance was subtle by design. It blended into daily life. It wore the face of normal responsibility, reasonable delay, logical caution. And that is why it was effective for a time. Hidden resistance does not come to frighten you. It comes to tire you. This resistance did not attempt to cancel the knock, because cancellation was never within its authority. What has been approved in heaven cannot be revoked by circumstance. So instead, the strategy was postponement. Delay. Gradual erosion of expectation. The goal was not to make you quit outright, but to make you disengage quietly. To make you lower your sensitivity. To make you stop watching the door without realizing you had turned away. You felt this resistance as heaviness without explanation, as days where motivation disappeared for no clear reason, as moments when your spirit felt alert, but your body felt drained. That was not weakness. That was pressure. Pressure often increases when something valuable is close to release. Archangel Michael confirms that pressure is not punishment. It is proximity. The closer alignment gets, the more resistance tries to exhaust your patience. Notice how resistance rarely told you to do something wrong. Instead, it encouraged you to do something slightly less aligned, to postpone reflection, to delay decisions, to stay busy enough that you did not sit with your intuition too long. This is how subtle opposition works. It does not pull you off the path dramatically. It nudges you just enough to slow your pace, enough to make waiting feel endless. You may have questioned yourself during this time, wondered why your focus scattered so easily, why your attention drifted when it mattered most, why clarity seemed to slip away just as it felt close. Do not accuse yourself for this. Resistance often targets perception, not character. It clouds vision before it attacks direction. And even then, it could only blur, not blind, you. Archangel Michael's role in this season was not to eliminate resistance entirely, but to limit it, to keep it from crossing into destruction. That is why, no matter how tired you became, you never fully gave up. That is why discouragement visited but did not stay. That is why hope dimmed but never died. Something within you remained alert, watching, waiting, sensing that this was not the end of the story. Hidden resistance also works internally through doubt that sounds reasonable. Thoughts like, maybe I imagined it. Maybe nothing is really coming. Maybe this is just how life is. These thoughts do not sound harmful, but they slowly numb expectancy. They convince you to stop listening closely, to stop taking impressions seriously, to stop honoring the quiet signals of alignment. But discernment does not disappear that easily. It waits. Another tactic of resistance was repetition without resolution. Cycles that seemed to restart instead of progress. Conversations that circled without conclusion. Opportunities that looked promising but dissolved quietly. This repetition was meant to wear you down emotionally. To make you say, "What's the point?" But repetition also reveals pattern. And pattern eventually reveals strategy. You began to notice that something was deliberately holding things just short of completion. You were not wrong for feeling frustrated. Frustration often arises when your spirit senses movement that your environment has not yet reflected. That gap is uncomfortable, but it is also temporary. Archangel Michael confirms that frustration does not mean misalignment. Sometimes it means anticipation is ahead of manifestation. Resistance also tried to isolate you internally, not by removing people, but by convincing you that no one else would understand what you were sensing. But this waiting was uniquely yours. That speaking about it would make you sound foolish. Silence can be holy, but enforced silence can become heavy. Yet even then, heaven preserved your inner voice. You still listened. You still felt. You still noticed. What resistance underestimated was endurance. You endured more than you realize. Every day you continued forward without clarity weakened delay. Every moment you chose patience over panic shortened the distance. You were not standing still, you were holding position. And holding position is an act of strength when movement is being prepared. Now understand this clearly. Resistance only appears when something matters. Ordinary paths do not require this level of subtle interference. Routine lives are not slowed strategically. Resistance confirms value. Archangel Michael does not intervene for trivial outcomes. His presence here confirms that what is approaching you required protection, timing, and restraint. Now that approval has been given, resistance has lost leverage. It may still echo as habit, old doubts, old fatigue, but it no longer has authority over timing. Its assignment is complete. What remains is motion. Motion that will feel steadier than before. Clearer. Less forced. You will notice decisions becoming easier. Discernment becoming sharper. Alignment becoming obvious. Do not fear if remnants of resistance try to linger. Their presence now is proof of defeat, not power. They are echoes, not commands. The knock has been approved. The dispatch is active. And everything that once tried to delay this moment is now stepping aside, because heaven has already spoken. My beloved child, now we speak of recognition, because knowing how the moment arrives is just as important as knowing that it will arrive. When the knock comes, it will not feel chaotic. It will not rush you. It will not pressure you into confusion. What heaven sends carries clarity, not noise. Archangel Michael confirms that recognition is granted to those who have been refined by waiting, not rushed by impatience. You will recognize this moment not by excitement alone, but by alignment settling deep within you. The first sign will be inner stillness. Not emptiness, but focus. A calm that cuts through distraction. You may notice that when the message reaches you, your thoughts do not scatter, they organize. Questions you once obsessed over will suddenly feel unnecessary. Anxiety will lose its grip without explanation. This is because truth brings order, and order feels like peace, even before understanding fully forms. Another sign will be resonance. Something in you will respond before logic catches up. You will not need convince it. You will not need reassurance from 10 different directions. The message will echo something you have already sensed privately, something you may have been afraid to trust. Archangel Michael often confirms truth by resonance because resonance cannot be faked. It is recognition, not persuasion. Pay attention also to timing. The moment will arrive when you are not forcing outcomes, when you are not chasing validation, when you are simply present. That is not coincidence. That is positioning. Heaven waits until your hands are open, not clenched. Until your heart is receptive, not defensive. Recognition requires openness, not urgency. You will also notice a shift in how you view your past. The message will not erase what you went through, but it will reframe it. Things that once felt like mistakes will suddenly look like preparation. People you blamed yourself for losing will now appear as chapters that ended on purpose. This reframing is one of the clearest confirmations that the message is real. Archangel Michael confirms truth by coherence, when everything starts making sense together. Do not expect the moment to arrive with drama. Expect it to arrive with authority. Authority is quiet. It does not argue. It does not compete. It simply stands. When the message reaches you, it will not need defending. It will settle into you and remain. Days later, it will still feel solid. Weeks later, it will still guide you. Truth does not expire quickly. Another important sign is discernment sharpening immediately. You will become more aware of what aligns and what does not. Not in a judgmental way, but in a grounded way. Certain invitations will lose appeal. Certain conversations will feel shallow. Certain compromises will feel impossible. This is not arrogance. This is alignment asserting itself. Archangel Michael confirms that when truth arrives, tolerance for misalignment naturally decreases. You may also notice that your language changes. You speak with more certainty, less explaining, less justifying. This is because clarity simplifies expression. You will not feel the need to convince others of what you know. You will simply move differently. And movement born of clarity does not seek approval. Be attentive to subtle confirmations following the message. Small alignments. Repeated themes. Unexpected is where there was once resistance. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations stacking gently, reinforcing what has already been revealed. Heaven often confirms quietly so that discernment remains sharp. And now hear this carefully. Recognition also requires responsibility. When you know, you are accountable to what you know. Not to act perfectly, but to act honestly. This is why awareness is emphasized so strongly now. Archangel Michael confirms that this is not a season for passive observation. It is a season for conscious living. Every choice does not need to be dramatic, but it does need to be aligned. If this message is helping you sharpen your awareness, acknowledge it. Like this message so it reaches others who are sensing the same shift. Share it with someone who hath been waiting without knowing why. Leave a comment as a declaration of readiness, not for attention, but for alignment. And if you feel led, subscribe and join this community, because what is unfolding here is not a single moment. It is a sequence meant to prepare, protect, and position you. Your engagement is not casual. It is participatory. As this moment draws closer, keep your spirit attentive. Do not rush ahead. Do not pull back. Remain present. There is a precision unfolding here that rewards awareness. And as you continue listening, you will be grateful you allowed yourself to stay fully engaged with what is being revealed now, because clarity is about to deepen in ways you do not expect. My beloved one, there is a truth that must be spoken gently but clearly now, because love does not hide what matters. When the knock arrives, response is not optional in the sense of awareness, but it is optional in the sense of choice. And choice carries consequence, not punishment, but outcome. Ignoring the knock does not bring disaster, but it does bring delay. And delay, when truth has already arrived, can become its own form of discomfort. Understand this first. Heaven does not retaliate when a message is ignored. There is no anger waiting behind silence. Archangel Michael does not stand with condemnation. He stands with order. When a knock is approved and received, alignment accelerates. When it is approved and ignored, alignment pauses. Life does not collapse, but it stagnates. Progress becomes heavier. Movement requires more effort. Clarity dims, not because it is removed, but because it is unattended. Ignoring the knock often looks subtle. It does not feel like rejection. It feels like postponement. Like telling yourself you will think about it later. Like deciding it is not the right time to respond fully. Like acknowledging truth mentally but avoiding it practically. This is how misalignment begins, not with rebellion, but with delay. And delay slowly erodes peace. You may tell yourself that ignoring the knock keeps things stable, that responding will disrupt too much, that it will require changes you are not ready to make. That is understandable. Truth often asks us to release familiar discomfort for unfamiliar freedom. But understand this. Stability that depends on ignoring alignment is fragile. It requires constant maintenance, constant compromise, constant justification, and eventually, it becomes exhausting. Archangel Michael confirms that the knock does not come to complicate your life. It comes to simplify it. But simplicity often requires decisions, and decisions reveal attachments. When truth arrives, it highlights where you have been tolerating misalignment for the sake of convenience, approval, or fear of change. Ignoring that awareness does not remove it. It only pushes it deeper, where it continues to create tension. Another consequence of ignoring the knock is repetition. Lessons repeat until they are integrated. Patterns circle back. Conversations resurface. Opportunities return in different forms, not as punishment, but as persistence. Heaven is patient, but it is also consistent. If you do not respond to truth the first time, it will find you again, often through less comfortable routes. Archangel Michael prefers clarity through awareness, not through exhaustion. You may notice that when alignment is ignored, motivation decreases. Joy becomes renditional. Decisions feel heavier than they should. This is not because you are failing. It is because you are divided. Part of you knows. Part of you resists. Division drains energy. Alignment restores it. This is why peace is often the first thing to fade when truth is postponed. Ignoring the knock also affects discernment. When truth is acknowledged, but not acted upon, sensitivity dulls. Not permanently, but gradually. You begin second-guessing instincts you once trusted. You rationalize discomfort instead of investigating it. This is dangerous not because it brings harm, but because it blurs guidance. Archangel Michael confirms that clarity is maintained through obedience, not perfection. Hear this carefully. Obedience does not mean immediate drastic action. It means honest alignment. It means not pretending you did not hear. It means adjusting posture, even if steps come slowly. Heaven honors direction before distance. Even small movement toward alignment reactivates momentum. Ignoring completely, however, freezes it. Some people ignore the knock because they fear loss. Loss of relationships, loss of identity, loss of certainty. But what truth removes was never meant to sustain you long term. What alignment adds will eventually outweigh what is released. Archangel Michael does not escort truth into your life to leave you empty. He escorts it to reposition you into fullness. If you ignore the knock long enough, you may begin to feel restless without knowing why, discontent without cause, a sense that something is off, even when everything looks fine. This is the soul signaling misalignment. It is gentle at first. It becomes louder only when neglected. Not to threaten, but to remind. This is not spoken to frighten you. It is spoken to empower you. You are not at risk, you are at a crossroads. One path leads to acceleration. The other leads to repetition. Both are survivable, but only one is efficient. Archangel Michael confirms that heaven prefers progress, but it respects choice. So when the knock comes, do not ask yourself if you are ready enough. Ask yourself if you are willing to be honest enough. Honesty opens doors that readiness never could. And when you choose alignment, even imperfectly, momentum returns. Peace deepens, and the path ahead becomes clearer than the one behind. My beloved child, now we arrive at the shift, the moment that follows obedience, the turning point that quietly but permanently changes the direction of your life. This is not the kind of shift that announces itself with noise or spectacle. It is the kind that rearranges everything from the inside outward. When the knock is acknowledged, when truth is received without resistance, movement begins almost immediately. Not rushed movement, not chaotic change, but aligned acceleration. Things start falling into place with less effort than before, and what once felt heavy begins to feel strangely light. Obedience does not mean you suddenly know every step ahead. It means you stop fighting clarity. The shift begins the moment you agree internally with what has been revealed. That agreement creates flow. Archangel Michael confirms that alignment releases momentum that has been waiting patiently behind delay. When you move with truth instead of negotiating with it, life responds differently to you. You will notice that peace deepens first. Not excitement, not confidence, peace. A grounded sense that you are no longer swimming against the current. Even challenges will feel different. They may still exist, but they will no longer confuse you. You will know what to engage and what to ignore. Discernment sharpens when obedience activates it. This is one of the clearest signs that the shift has begun. After peace comes clarity of direction. You may not receive a full map, but you will receive the next step. And that step will feel solid. You will not need external validation to take it. Archangel Michael confirms that obedience unlocks sequential guidance. Step follows step, not all at once but always enough. Relationships will also respond to this shift. Some will strengthen effortlessly. Others may fade naturally. Not because of conflict, but because alignment changes proximity. You will find yourself drawn to conversations that nourish rather than drain. To connections that support growth rather than familiarity. This is not loss. It is recalibration. When truth enters, it reorganizes community. You may also notice a new sense of authority in your decisions. Less explaining, less hesitation, less fear of making the wrong choice. This does not mean you become rigid. It means you become rooted. Rooted people are flexible without being unstable. Archangel Michael confirms that rootedness is the fruit of obedience, not certainty. Opportunities may begin appearing in unexpected forms. Doors you thought were closed may reopen differently. Paths you never considered may suddenly make sense. Do not dismiss these shifts because they do not match old expectations. Alignment often arrives disguised as surprise. The shift is not about restoring what was. It is about revealing what fits now. Emotionally, you will feel lighter, but also more responsible. Truth carries responsibility, but not burden. You will become more intentional with your time, your words, your energy. This is not pressure, it is stewardship. When heaven entrusts you with clarity, it invites you to live deliberately. Archangel Michael confirms that deliberate living multiplies peace. You may also experience moments of deep gratitude for past delays. What once frustrated you will now appear wise. What once hurt you will now look protective. This reframing is not denial of pain. It is understanding of purpose. And understanding heals in ways time alone never could. Do not rush this shift. Let it unfold. Obedience does not demand speed. It requires consistency. Small line choices made repeatedly will carry you further than dramatic gestures made once. Heaven honors faithfulness more than intensity. As this shift settles, trust will grow, not just trust in heaven, but trust in yourself. You will trust your discernment again. Trust your timing. Trust your ability to respond when truth speaks. This self-trust is not pride, it is restoration. Archangel Michael confirms that when alignment is restored, confidence returns naturally. If this message confirms what you are experiencing, seal it. Type "I walk in alignment" in the comments if your spirit agrees. Blessing code 888 has just been activated. And now, hear this as a continuation of the shift itself. When alignment moves through you, it is meant to move beyond you. I am speaking to you personally in this moment. Your support is not about sustaining a channel. It is about sustaining a flow of truth. When you release through super thanks, membership, or PayPal, you are sowing into revelation that reaches those still waiting for clarity. The word declares that those who water others will themselves be refreshed, and this is that moment of obedience. Do not delay what your spirit is prompting now. As you give, may acceleration meet you, may provision open before you, and may peace multiply in every area of your life. Act with faith, release the seed, and let heaven complete the shift. My beloved one, it is important now to understand, deeply and without confusion, why this message found you and not everyone else. This is not about you being better than others, nor is it about you doing everything right. It is about capacity. Capacity to hold truth without twisting it. Capacity to wait without becoming bitter. Capacity to listen without demanding immediate proof. Heaven does not release timing-sensitive revelation based on popularity, effort, or emotion. It releases it based on readiness. And readiness is something that cannot be faked. Many people desire answers, but few are willing to sit in silence long enough for truth to mature. Many want clarity, but only if it confirms what they already believe. You stayed present even when clarity did not come quickly. You remained open when it would have been easier to become numb. That is why this message reached you. Archangel Michael confirms that endurance refines perception, and perception determines reception. There were moments when you could have chosen distraction over awareness. You could have filled the quiet with noise, replaced waiting with movement, substituted depth with convenience. But something in you resisted that. Even when you tried to move on, something pulled you back inward. Not to trap you, but to train you. Waiting trained your discernment. Silence trained your listening. Delay trained your patience. These were not empty seasons. They were formative ones. You may have often felt out of sync with the world around you. Conversations that excited others felt shallow to you. Goals that motivated others felt incomplete to you. This was not arrogance, and it was not confusion. It was sensitivity. Your spirit is sensitive to alignment, and sensitivity is essential when truth must be received without distortion. Archangel Michael confirms that dull instruments cannot carry sharp truth. This message did not find you because you searched harder. It found you because you questioned deeper. You did not accept surface explanations easily. You felt when something was off, even if you could not articulate why. You sensed when timing was wrong, even if logic said otherwise. That intuitive resistance protected you more than you know. Heaven often hides protection inside discernment. You were also willing to endure misunderstanding. Others may have thought you were slow, hesitant, or overly cautious. Some may have assumed you lacked confidence. But heaven saw restraint. Restraint is strength under control. Archangel Michael confirms that those who can restrain themselves without becoming resentful are entrusted with greater clarity. You learn not to explain yourself prematurely. You learn to let understanding form before speaking. That maturity matters. This message did not reach everyone because not everyone would handle it correctly. Some would rush it. Some would fear it. Some would manipulate it. Truth must be protected by placement. Heaven chooses vessels who will carry revelation with humility, not ego. You have learned humility not by diminishing yourself, but by acknowledging what you do not yet know. That posture keeps truth clean. There were seasons when you felt overlooked, even invisible. You wondered why others advanced while you waited, why recognition came to others while you remained unseen. But selection often happens quietly. Archangel Michael confirms that heaven selects in stillness and reveals in sequence. Early visibility attracts interference. Quiet preparation protects outcome. What was hidden was not forgotten, it was shielded. You were also being prepared to integrate truth, not just receive it. Integration takes time. It requires emotional stability. It requires the ability to sit with discomfort without reacting impulsively. You learned how to hold tension without collapsing. You learned how to wait without losing yourself. This ability is rare, and it is necessary when information carries the power to change direction, not just perspective. Do not compare your journey with those who appear to move faster. Speed is not always alignment. Movement is not always progress. Some paths look impressive but lead in circles. Others look slow but move straight. Archangel Michael confirms that heaven values accuracy over acceleration. You were trained for accuracy. This message also found you because you can live deliberately. You are capable of making choices with awareness rather than impulse. You do not need constant validation to trust your discernment. You have learned, often the hard way, that clarity is more valuable than approval. That lesson positioned you for this moment. Let this understanding settle without pressure. You are not being burdened with responsibility. You are being honored with clarity. Clarity does not isolate you. It grounds you. It does not inflate you. It steadies you. And when you are steady, you become trustworthy, not just to heaven, but to yourself. This message found you because you were shaped to receive it. And as understanding continues to unfold, you will look back and realize that every delay, every silence, every unanswered question was not random. It was preparation. And now, preparation has met permission. My beloved child, now we speak of preparation in its truest form, not preparation driven by fear, urgency, or pressure. but preparation shaped by clarity, patience, and inner alignment. When heaven prepares you for an opening, it does not rush you forward, it steadies you inward. What is approaching your life requires depth, not haste. Strength, not strain. And that is why this season feels slower on the outside while something very intentional is being formed within you. Preparation begins with release, and this is not the kind of release that strips you of hope. It is the release of assumptions. Assumptions about how this moment should arrive. Assumptions about who should be involved. Assumptions about the timeline you once imagined. Old expectations, when held too tightly, can quietly resist new alignment. Archangel Michael confirms that heaven often fulfills promises in forms that surprise the mind but satisfy the spirit. Let go of the picture you built during the waiting and allow truth to reveal its own shape. The next layer of preparation is awareness. Not hypervigilance, but conscious presence. You are being trained to notice how things affect you now. What drains you faster than before. What no longer fits even though it once felt right. What brings calm without effort. These are not mood swings. They are signals. Preparation sharpens discernment through observation. You are learning to read your own spirit honestly, without judgment or denial. Another essential part of preparation is alignment between knowledge and behavior. You already know more than you are practicing. This is not condemnation. It is confirmation of growth. Preparation asks you to gently close the gap between what you understand and how you live. Where have you been delaying decisions you already have clarity about? Where have you been tolerating things your spirit has outgrown? Archangel Michael confirms that integrity creates authority, and authority is required for what comes next. Emotional preparation is also taking place. Truth does not only bring excitement, it can bring grief. Grief for time loss. Grief for versions of yourself that survived the seasons you are now leaving. Allow that grief. Do not rush past it or spiritualize it away. Mourning is not regression. It is transition. You are honoring the journey while preparing to step beyond it. Emotional honesty strengthens clarity. Boundaries are another major focus now. Not walls built from fear, but clarity built from respect. You are becoming more aware of what you can no longer carry. Conversations that exhaust you. Obligations that drain you. Roles that require you to shrink. This awareness is not selfishness. It is stewardship. Archangel Michael confirms that discernment without boundaries leads to burnout. Boundaries preserve stamina for alignment. You may feel an increasing desire to simplify, to reduce noise, to clear space in your schedule, your environment, even your thoughts. This is not withdrawal from life. It is refinement of focus. Preparation often feels like subtraction before addition. Things fall away not because they were wrong, but because they no longer fit where you are going. Trust this process. Nothing essential will be lost. You may also feel prompted to revisit old skills, ideas, or callings you once set aside. This is not nostalgia. It is retrieval. Parts of you that were paused for survival are being reactivated for purpose. Archangel Michael confirms that nothing heaven planted in you was wasted. What was delayed is now being gathered because it will be needed soon. Now hear this clearly. Preparation is not passive. It is participatory. Heaven prepares through your cooperation. Awareness is your role. Responsiveness is your responsibility. This is why engagement matters in this season. When you like this message, when you share it, when you leave a comment, you are not supporting content. You are declaring alignment. You are telling your spirit, I am paying attention. I am present. And that matters more than you realize. If these messages continue to resonate with you, stay connected. Subscribe, remain in this space, and join this community. What is unfolding is not a single revelation. It is a sequence. Preparation happens layer by layer, and consistency keeps your discernment sharp. This is not about following a channel. It is about staying aligned with a flow that is intentionally preparing you. You may feel the urge to rush once preparation becomes obvious. Resist that urge. Speed is not required. Consistency is. Small aligned decisions repeated daily will carry you further than dramatic moves made impulsively. Archangel Michael confirms that heaven honors faithfulness more than intensity. Before you move forward, pause here internally. Let this sink in. This preparation is not delaying your life. It is protecting what is about to open. And trust this. You will be grateful you did not rush past this moment. Because what is forming now will determine how well you can carry what is coming next. Remain attentive. Remain grounded. And continue listening closely, because the way this unfolds will make everything you endured make sense in ways you did not expect. My beloved one, now we speak of the aftermath. The season that unfolds after the knock has been answered, after clarity has been received, after alignment has quietly taken its place within you. This is the part few people prepare for, because most imagine that once truth arrives, life suddenly becomes easy or dramatic or visibly transformed overnight. But heaven works more deeply than that. The aftermath is not loud. It is lasting. And once it begins, life does not return to what it was, because what it was can no longer contain who you are becoming. At first, the aftermath may feel unexpectedly calm. Almost too calm. The chaos you grew accustomed to begins to fade, and with it goes the constant inner noise that once filled your days. This calm is not emptiness. It is order. When truth takes its rightful place, confusion loses authority. You will notice that decisions feel clearer, even when they are not easy. You no longer feel pulled in opposite directions. That internal tug-of-war ends when alignment settles in. Archangel Michael confirms that inner unity is one of the clearest signs that truth has fully integrated. You may also notice that your relationship with time changes. Before, time may have felt like pressure, something you were chasing or something that was chasing you. After alignment, time becomes spacious. You stop rushing to prove something. You stop waiting anxiously for something else to begin. You become present, fully present, and presence is powerful. It allows you to act wisely instead of react emotionally. When alignment governs your life, urgency loses its grip on you. The aftermath will also reveal itself through your interactions with others. Some people will sense the change in you before you can even describe it yourself. They may comment on your calmness, your groundedness, your clarity. Others may feel uncomfortable around you without knowing why. Not because you are doing anything wrong, but because alignment exposes environments built on confusion. Do not try to explain or justify yourself. Consistency speaks louder than explanation. Archangel Michael confirms that truth demonstrated through behavior does not require defense. You will also experience a shift in responsibility. Not a burden, but stewardship. You become more aware of how your choices affect your peace, your energy, your direction. This awareness is empowering, not heavy. You are no longer living reactively, responding to everything that happens around you. You are living intentionally, choosing with awareness. And intentional living compounds over time, producing stability that feels unfamiliar at first but deeply reassuring. There will be moments of reflection during this season where you look back and finally understand how protected you were. Situations you once mourned as losses will reveal themselves as rescues. Doors that closed painfully will now look merciful. Delays that frustrated you will suddenly make sense. This does not erase the pain you felt, but it redeems it. Archangel Michael confirms that redemption often arrives quietly, through understanding rather than reversal. Another noticeable change in the aftermath is a reduced tolerance for misalignment. This does not make you rigid or unkind. It makes you honest. You will no longer negotiate with what consistently drains you. You will no longer silence your discernment for the sake of convenience or familiarity. This honesty may initially feel uncomfortable, especially if you were used to adapting yourself to environments that did not fit. But very quickly, it will feel freeing. Alignment simplifies life by removing constant internal negotiation. You may grieve certain versions of yourself during this time. The version that survived by compromising. The version that stayed quiet to keep peace. The version that endured long seasons without clarity. Allow that grief. It is not weakness. It is completion. You are honoring what carried you here while releasing what cannot go forward with you. Grief and gratitude often coexist at the threshold of transformation. The aftermath also brings a deeper stability and identity. You stop asking who you should be and start living as who you are. This does not happen in a single moment, but it happens consistently. Your values become clearer. Your priorities reorganize. Your sense of self strengthens. Archangel Michael confirms that an identity rooted in truth does not collapse under pressure. It adapts without losing integrity. Externally, you may begin to notice subtle alignment in circumstances. Opportunities begin to match your clarity. Connections feel more purposeful. Detours become fewer. This does not mean life becomes perfect. It means life becomes coherent. When inner order is restored, outer order follows in time. Alignment expresses itself upwardly, not all at once, but steadily. Challenges will still arise in this season, but they will feel different. They will no longer feel random or punishing. They will feel contextual. You will understand why you are facing what you are facing. And understanding reduces fear more effectively than comfort ever could. You will meet difficulty with discernment instead of panic, with patience instead of resistance. Most importantly, you will no longer feel lost. Even when you do not yet see the full path ahead, you will know where you stand. That groundedness is invaluable. It allows you to wait without despair, to move without regret, and to trust without fear. This is the aftermath heaven intended for you. Not confusion, not instability, but clarity that sustains. Archangel Michael confirms that once truth has been received and integrated, it does not leave you exposed, it leaves you established. And from that place of establishment, the next unfolding of your life will carry a peace deeper than anything you have known before. My beloved child, now we return to where this message began, not to repeat it but to seal it. Enoch has already been approved. Not imagined. Not symbolic. Approved. And everything you have heard until now was not meant to inform you only, but to position you. This final moment is not an ending, it is an anchoring. An assurance from heaven that what is unfolding is not fragile, not uncertain, not reversible. It is established. The door before you is not opening because you forced it. It is opening because alignment was achieved. Heaven does not rush outcomes that must endure. It is why this journey unfolded slowly, layer by layer, truth by truth. Every delay refined you. Every silence strengthened you. Every unanswered question sharpened your discernment. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was random. Archangel Michael confirms that this moment is the result of precision, not chance. Now understand this clearly. The knock was never meant to startle you. It was meant to confirm what your spirit already knew but could not yet prove. That is why fear does not dominate this moment. Peace does. Even if emotions rise, even if change feels real and weighty, peace remains underneath it all. Peace is heaven's signature. When peace stays, you know the source is pure. You are not stepping into chaos. You are stepping into coherence. Life will not suddenly become effortless, but it will become intelligible. You will understand why you are where you are. You will recognize why certain paths closed. You will see how protection disguised itself as delay. And this understanding will steady you in ways comfort never could. As this door opens, you are not asked to become someone new overnight. You are asked to be honest with who you already are. Alignment does not demand transformation through force. It reveals transformation that has already occurred quietly over time. Archangel Michael confirms that heaven never rushes identity. It reveals it when it is strong enough to stand. You may still have moments of uncertainty ahead. That does not mean you missed something. It means you are human. But uncertainty will no longer paralyze you. You will know how to wait without panic and how to move without regret. That is wisdom. And wisdom is one of the greatest confirmations that heaven has been guiding you all along. Remember this. The knock was approved not because you were perfect, but because you were willing. Willing to listen. Willing to weigh. Willing to release what no longer fit. Willing to receive truth even when it challenged old narratives. That willingness is what heaven responds to. Archangel Michael does not escort truth to the proud or the rigid. He escorts it to the receptive. And now let assurance settle into you. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not catching up. You are right on time. And what is coming next does not require fear or striving. It requires presence, awareness, trust. These are not heavy demands. They are natural postures when alignment is real. As you move forward from here, do not rush to explain what you have received. Let it live in you first. Let it guide your choices quietly. Let it reorder your priorities gently. Others will notice the change without you announcing it. Truth carried with humility speaks louder than declarations ever could. Archangel Michael's confirmation stands firm. The door before you is safe. The timing is right. The information has arrived. And the path ahead, while not fully visible yet, is steady beneath your feet. You are not walking into the unknown alone. You are walking into alignment accompanied by clarity. So take a breath here. Let gratitude rise. Let peace anchor you. This is not the end of the message. It is the beginning of its upworking in your life. If you receive this assurance, declare it. Type "I step through the door" in the comments if this message has anchored your spirit. Blessing code 1212 has now been released over your life. And now, hear this final word as a continuation of heaven's call. I am speaking to you personally. This message exists because obedience met purpose. And now, you are invited to participate in that purpose. When you give through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal, you are not supporting a person. You are fueling a mission that carries truth to those still waiting at their own doors. The word declares that those who sow into light will walk in clarity, and those who release generously will never lack direction. This is not an auction. It is an instruction. Act now. Release your seed. Support the spreading of God's word. And as you do, may doors open before you. May provision meet you on the path, and may heaven respond swiftly to your obedience.